Hello and welcome to another 2 Network match report with me, Adam. It's finished at the Emirates. It's finished Arsenal 1, Newcastle United 0. I think many were possibly expecting a cricket score, which didn't happen. We were quite resolute in defence all in, really. We soaked up a lot of pressure, and certainly in the second half, once Arsenal couldn't put the game to bed, we definitely had a couple of chances to actually go out and nick a point there. But I think it's a time to be positive again. My last video was a little animated, possibly a little angry. I was tired. And the big headline is now that we are in the relegation zone. The West Ham games just finished. They won 3-0 against Stoke, also in trouble. We have Huddersfield beating Watford 4-1 away, which is an absolutely incredible result given Watford's recent form. And on top of that, you had Crystal Palace go out and turn Leicester over at the King Power Stadium. So it's been a really bad weekend of results for Newcastle United. I don't think anybody was under any illusions about going to the Emirates and coming away with a point. I think most really expected a quite heavy defeat, but what we gave them was we made it difficult for them, and I think we got a bit of that defensive solidity back. It's a 1-0 defeat at a team, yes, who have had a couple of shaky results. A 0-0 against West Ham, West Ham being our next opponents. I'll talk about them in a bit of a preview shortly. But Arsenal maybe had a bit of a point to prove, although saying that, Arsene Wenger plumped for the likes of Jack Wilshere in midfield. He went for Maitland-Niles as well, who seemed to be playing a bit of a left wing-back position, given Kolasinac was out. And, I mean, the game was ultimately decided by what was quite a spectacular goal, technique-wise anyway. Arsenal had been applying pressure to our box. We had a lot of men. We had a lot of bodies between the eventual goal scorer and the goal. Cross came in, and it was Alexis Sanchez. Ball had bobbled up. Alexis Sanchez went to rise and go for a header, at which point Lascelles dropped back because he thought, right, I'm needed on the line. It then he didn't win the header, Alexis Sanchez. I think Lejeune ended up heading it back out. And what Ozil, if you notice on the goal, and you'll see this on the replays, you might see it on Twitter or Match of the Day or Sky or whatever, you'll notice that Ozil sort of hovers on the penalty spot by the time Alexis Sanchez is going for that header on the 6-yard line. And what he does just in quite subtle fashion is just sort of dance his way towards the left of the penalty spot and away from our players. I think Atsu's probably the nearest player to him, but it's difficult because Ozil's had unbelievable anticipation to call that the ball's going to land where it lands. He possesses the technique, the superior technique, to be able to catch that quite brilliantly. I mean, technique-wise, look at Zidane's Champions League final goal against Leverkusen, I think it was, where slightly different circumstance, but I think the shape of the technique, the shape of the volley is very similar to that. The left-footed strike that sort of hooks, and he's basically, instead of going near post, which Zidane went, he's gone across. Elliott was back in goal today and just couldn't do anything about it. If you wanted to criticise our defenders, I think don't leave such a talented player completely unmarked. As difficult it is to anticipate that ball falling exactly where he's anticipated it would, Ozil, we can't leave him alone and have that much space to be able to pick out a goal like that. I agree there's caveats to that. And also it's another goal that we've conceded where we possibly could and should have had at least one player closing down, like getting right in the face of. I mean, it's happened a lot quicker than, say, the Mahrez goal, where you kind of knew what he was going to do and you probably had a bit of time to actually effect some change in that, and we didn't. Whereas that, I'm torn between it being an absolutely fantastic goal, which it really was, and us allowing him to be able to, we're facilitating the time for him to be able to set himself and do that. So Ozil's done wonderfully to anticipate. He's done wonderfully with his body shape and the technique to catch it like that on a target across the goal. It really is such a good strike. But it's times like that where we need to be throwing our face into every single shot and ball. And to be honest, we soaked up after that. We soaked up such a lot of pressure defensively. I mean, in the end, stats-wise, you're looking at, they've had about 23, 25 shots, Arsenal, today. And they've only managed to get 5 of those on target. Many were blocked, many were off target, so you could argue that they were sort of firing blanks a little bit. Whereas they've had 5 on target, we've had 2 on target, which in contrast is pretty good considering how little possession we had, and we're talking like low 30s possession-wise for the across the 90. And second half, I thought we played pretty well, solidly. It's difficult to keep being positive after defeats, and certainly a defeat that takes us into the bottom 3 finally, where I think is an absolute wake-up call if recent results haven't been. Being in the bottom 3 is really quite something else in terms of your psychology. But, we're not that many points away from 12th position, for example. I think we're only about 3 points away from 12th. That's how tight it is along the second half of the table. I think Huddersfield have a bit of daylight between 12th place. They're up into 11th after their win, and I think they have 21, 22 points at the minute. So there's a bit more of daylight between there. But to get to mid-table, you're talking about a win and a draw, a couple of wins. We have West Ham next, which is going to be an absolutely huge game. West Ham's form has been really, really strong the last 3 games. They beat Chelsea, they drew 0-0 to Arsenal, and just now they've got a very convincing 3-0 victory away to Stoke, who seem to be in free fall as well. I mean, you were hoping as a Newcastle fan that teams like Crystal Palace wouldn't be picking up away wins, like teams like Huddersfield, who have been very prone to a tonking recently. They've gone and dished out their own punishment on an informed Watford, 4-1. Now, there was a couple of red cards in that game, but 1 apiece, so actually still pretty impressive. So that would seem to be out of nowhere. And I just think the West Ham game, as I supposed in the previous match report, the West Ham game was going to be a genuine relegation 6-pointer. I think we're no doubt about that. Arnautovic scored against Chelsea. He scored again today against Stoke. Lanzini got himself 2 assists as well. So he's starting to show the form that he has in previous years, and they're starting to just settle and stabilise West Ham, whereas we're still scrapping around. And I think we can take a lot of positives from this defeat at Arsenal, and given that everyone thought it was going to be an absolute trouncing, we held defensively, we held our own largely. One of the league's best attacking outfits. They score a lot of goals. They've got some incredible players who can create chances and score. Sanchez, Lacazette, and Ozil's come into form the last couple of months as well. Players like Ramsey weren't in today, but it's the wealth and the depth of attacking talent that they've got in the squad that we can't really match. But today we did a really I think we did a really noble job today and stood up to them. And towards the last 20 minutes, we really had a go, you know. Gale came on, and I thought Marino played well throughout, actually. He had a nasty crack of heads, which with Koscielny, I think it was, who it didn't seem to, you know, it seemed to be quite a nasty one, that, but you know, he managed to get up and shake it off, but replaced by Diarmi later in the game. But we really kind of took the game, and when Richie came on, he looked dangerous. So he whipped in a really good ball for Perez, who had a couple of chances himself, but he had a header at the back post that you'd think, had that fallen to Joselu, could Joselu have steered that in across the keeper? From when you're watching it, it looked like it might have been closer than it was, but it was actually quite far away. Then you had a chance that came to the edge. Gale laid it off for Joselu on the edge of the box. He had a strike. It's hit one of their defenders, and it's just gone. I mean, the keeper's rooted. Petr Cech's rooted to the middle of the goal, and it's just gone past his right-hand post. It's this look that could bounce anywhere. It was very similar to that shot at Old Trafford, I think it was, where I think it was Murphy's had a shot and Gale just kind of tried to deflect it and it's just gone past the post. I mean, things just don't seem to be falling for us. It's not an excuse, the look thing, because I think over a course of a season, everything comes around, you know. But we're just not getting the rub of the green there. And I thought, if we could have just nicked a cheeky goal at the end, and we certainly had the chances, but 10 shots, 2 on target. It's 20%, you know, 20% of our shots have any chance of scoring, and that's just not good enough. I mean, it comes back to this lack of firepower up front. You look at the Everton game, you think, had we managed to get a goalkeeper in, would we have made that mistake? Would we have conceded? Possibly not. If a proper striker had been on the end of that Richie cross tonight with the right foot, could we have got a point? Yeah, possibly. So January reinforcements are going to be really important. Obviously, we've heard news this week that transfer talks are underway, although I'm pretty sure Rafa still doesn't know what budget he's got, and the whole takeover uncertainty, a lot of people might have jumped the gun. Journalists and news outlets have jumped the gun, possibly on an agreement of a price. It's all up in the air at the minute, and it's really not helping the team. And while there's been a lot of criticism of Rafa Benitez, which I don't agree with, to be honest, I don't think he's blameless, but he's not the person to be pointing fingers at this very minute. He's the one person who can help get us out of this. I think he went with the right formation today. Excuse me. I think he realised that the physical threat that Arsenal pose, and he's put, that's why he's dropped Gale basically, because I think you'd get battered around by the centre-backs that Arsenal possess. So, and he wanted to link up Perez and Joselu again. I think Diarmi certainly didn't warrant starting again, as much as I don't appreciate the cheers sarcastic cheers he got against Everton. He didn't play well enough, and he definitely shouldn't have been starting. Richie was dropped as well in favour of Murphy and Atsu. Darlow was dropped after his, well, it was a howler, wasn't it, against Everton? Basically cost us the game. That poor mistake. So yeah, Dummett wasn't fit enough to start, so Manquillo was there. So Hayden came in, and, you know, we're just, at the minute, we're struggling to still find our best 11 and our best formation. I think there's defensive potential with this 4-2-3-1 with Joselu at the pinnacle. I think that there's still attacking potential with the 4-4-2, with the Gale and Joselu, possibly at home, and a possibly 4-2-3-1 away, or at home to maybe tougher teams. But to be honest, now we're in a position where almost every team that we're playing is a tougher team, is a better team, because we're sinking like a stone. We're in the relegation zone, and the best thing Mike Ashley can do for us now is to speed up this process, get out while he can. It's as good as it's going to get, because if he does nothing, we're going to be dragged into relegation and it's going to be no turning back. Will that threaten the takeover? Very possibly. But the longer he waits, the longer Rafa Benitez doesn't know how much money he's got to spend in January, doesn't know which of his targets or how many of his targets he can actually get. And we need deals in motion for as soon as the transfer window opens. We don't want to be going into January and getting to mid-January and suddenly, right, yeah, you've got 30 million, right, off you go. It's too late, we're going to miss out. We're going to miss out. So we've got West Ham next. It's an absolutely massive, massive game. They've got their tails up. As much as Everton had when we played them, they had their tails up, but Everton didn't seem to show much at home. When we played them at St James's the other night, as much as they were sort of reinvigorated, they still seemed blunt. It was just we were blunter, and we had a couple of unlucky chances off the post, but we need to be creating more. We just need a few goals. Christ, we need to do what Huddersfield have done on the end of a few Tonkins, is to just put 4 past somebody to give us the confidence. But we're struggling. We're really struggling, and it's, nobody thought we were going to beat Arsenal today, but again, it's looking where the 3 points are going to be. We need to be looking for a win against West Ham, but I think what he'll do is, I think he'll go 4-2-3-1 again. I think he'll probably pick largely the same team. I think Richie had a good impact off the bench, so he might come in for maybe Murphy, potentially. I think he'll stick with Marino, Hayden. And if Dummett's fit, we might see Dummett start. I think Elliott will retain his place as well. But I think, say, with Atsu back in the team, it really gives us that added pace and threat and potency on the wings. And I think if we got Dummett back in and just added a bit of balance, we're lacking that bit of balance. I really like the way Yedlin brought the ball out of play today to turn defence into, to begin attacks, to get the ball into midfield, to give it to Marino to kind of caress around the pitch. What we need to do against West Ham is put them under pressure, because even now that London Stadium still doesn't feel like home to West Ham. As much as they've had a good couple of weeks, they could very easily turn. They could drop the confidence. They haven't been great this season, neither have we. So you'd like to think it was a bit of 50-50 really, and you'd like to think that we'd start to dig in hard. The players have cancelled their Christmas party, quite rightly I think, but it shows a very good attitude nevertheless. I think having Lascelles back in defence gives us the right attitude and concentration, as much as, he's not the greatest defender we've ever had, but I think he makes his mouth go in a positive way to keep everyone in check, keep everyone in line, keep concentration and focus high, which we have to be, because the last couple of months we've been getting punished for individual defensive mistakes. And when you're punished for them, it just takes one misjudgment of a situation, and it's a defensive error, and they've scored. And that's how brutal the Premier League is. And we've really learned that the hard way the last couple of months. And we've been playing essentially with a championship squad. It's the same old themes. It's the same old themes. We've lost again. It's because of this. We've lost again. It's because of this. It's an improvement that we've only conceded 2 goals in the last 2 games, but we haven't scored. And it's no point in trying to keep a clean sheet and play for a draw like that, because ultimately, once you concede, your game plan goes out the window. You need to be pushing resource into the final third for creating chances, for scoring, for getting shots on target, and for testing the goalkeeper, asking questions of the opposition defence. West Ham have Adrian back in goal because Joe Hart's been dropped. I think he's been playing well. But they're shaky defensively as well. I think it could easily be a 1-1. I think if we were, in the end, we were quite unlucky not to come away from the Emirates with a point. And think about how big a point would have been for confidence and mentality. So what we need to do is, I don't want to say play the same way as we did tonight, because I think we can afford to be a bit more assertive against West Ham, really put the pressure on them. We have a first half like we've had against Everton, against Bournemouth, first half an hour at Man United, first 20 minutes, 25 minutes at Chelsea. If we hit West Ham like that, early doors, out the traps early, and put them under pressure, win a few corners, have a few shots, watch how quickly their crowd will turn. Watch how fast they'll become nervous, they'll feel the tension from around them. And I think that's how we beat them. I genuinely do. I think that's how we get to them, and that's how we grow in stature and confidence. We need to come out on top. We need to show our teeth first. It's a relegation 6-pointer. We lose that, we lose ground, and we sink deeper into the relegation zone. It's really going to be crucial. Around Christmas time, we've obviously got more games coming up. We've got the Man City game as well to think of. It's at home. Anything can happen. They've been one of the best Premier League starts ever, I think it is Man City. And as time of recording, they're beating Tottenham as well. So that's gonna be a crazily hard ask. But football's strange. It's those moments where you think, well, we absolutely have no hope. Kind of like tonight, we've got absolutely no hope. That you think, well, actually, we've probably come closest to getting a point here than we have in other previous games, say against Watford at home. You know, we had more chance of beating Arsenal away than we did of beating Watford at home. It's absolutely crazy football. Anything can happen. We don't know what's going to happen. And in terms of a preview, I might be talking complete crap, but you don't know. We just have to keep backing Rafa, his tactics, the players. Let's not at the mentions on Twitter and give them some abuse. That's not going to help anybody. It's really not. We need to show them that we're behind them. Fan base at the Emirates was unbelievable again, singing Rafa's name, singing his heart out. Shows that we're still with him, and we are. There's a crazy minority that aren't, but yeah, let them crack on. I'm fully behind Rafa, and we don't, even though we've sunk into the relegation zone, we don't feel like a team that's not fighting, that doesn't have spirit. We have spirit. We are fighting. We're putting effort in. We're just lacking quality. And where does this all go back to? You've guessed it, Mr. Mike Ashley. Lack of investment, no depth. We haven't got the players to put the most heralded and coveted players in the world are attackers, because they put the ball in the back of the net. And putting the ball in the back of the net gets you points, wins you games. It's as simple as that. We haven't got that quality to be able to do that. So as much as we can improve our defensive solidity, which I feel we really, really have been doing, and we did not look fools at the Emirates. We didn't. We went down to a spectacular goal, which, as I mentioned before, maybe we could have thrown a body in the way, but look, that's such a good, clean hit. Ozil's world class. He's world class. And we're not going to be facing an Ozil every week as well. That's the other thing to consider. So if not for an anomalously world-class strike from Ozil, we've held them, you know, and we're getting closer. I really feel we're getting closer. We've had all the bad luck that I think we can have. It's our turn. If we go to West Ham with the right mentality, with the assertion, with a fight and aggression, I feel we can get something. I really, really do. There's no reason why we cannot beat them. There isn't. Despite their form, no reason. Moyes is not a tactical mastermind. He's just not. Lucky to be in that job. So we'll see what we can do. Thanks so much for watching another 2 Network Match Report with me, Adam. Apologies for the lack of quality of the recent videos. My PC's packed in, which is a bit of a terrible situation. It's one of the other reasons why the audio podcast for the Everton game hasn't gone out yet. I'll try and put that up this weekend. So bear with me. I'm trying to churn the videos out as much as I can. I'll get caught up on the podcast as well. We'll hopefully get the quality improved as you used to. Apologies, but I just wanted to get at least something out for you guys and try and be consistent and get something out after every single game so you keep coming back. Please subscribe to the channel as always. we have got obviously some audio podcasts as well on iTunes and SoundCloud. Once I can get that situation sorted and get the last couple up as well. Follow us on Facebook. We're on Twitter as well. Thanks very much. I've been Adam. On to West Ham. It's going to be huge. See you soon, guys. Bye-bye.